The Recipe of Me by Mary Jane Gibson of Lismore 2480. Narrated by Janine Penfold. Ingredients: 1/8 of a cup of Irish, 1/8 of a cup of Scottish, 1/4 of a cup of English, 3/4 of a cup of Australian, 1 childhood, 1 mother, 1 father, 1 grandmother, 1 grandfather, 2 large tablespoons of teenager, a pinch of archetypes, 1½ cups of struggles and troubles, 2 hefty cups of assigned roles, 1 cup of freedom in aging. Method: cream together the Irish, Scottish, English and Australian. From the Irish, I got my green eyes, freckles and hot-headedness. From the Scottish, my fair complexion and love of storytelling. And from the English, my love of fish and chips and saying, "Right," said Fred, before I do anything. Add the Australian, and I love an underdog. Take the P out of myself and have one goal in life: to be a beach bum retiree. Mix in a childhood spent hanging upside down in trees, stuffing my face with bags of lollies bought for a couple of pennies down at the milk bar, and licking melty, chocolatey paddle pops on the beach. Combine growing up Catholic and keeping a check on my impure thoughts and made-up sins. The penance of 3 Our Fathers and 3 Hail Marys set on clacky rosary beads was surely better than being burned in the flames of hell. Beat in a mother imprisoned by the role of housewife and mother, a role she never fully accepted. She did yoga in black leotards, made jewellery, and couldn't cook cakes. An insurmountable deficit for a woman in the 50s. Stir in a father who was a doctor who expected his children in bed by the time he came home from work. A father who was as tall as a giant, with change that jingled in his pockets. A father who couldn't cook at all, and once boiled an unopened tin of soup in a saucepan, and forever after there were fragments of a Rosella soup label on the ceiling in the kitchen. Add an Irish Catholic grandmother who married an atheist, who smoked cigarettes but never did the drawback, who made homemade blackberry pies with fresh blackberries picked from the garden, and who always tucked a $5 into my pocket every time we visited. Add a granddad who stood on his head until he was 80, pulled money out of his ears, said "rot" a lot, and listened to the horse races with the radio pressed up to his ears. Mix in a rebellious teenager who tested my mother, father and teachers, who forged my own identity wearing mirrored tops and splashed myself with liberal lashings of patchouli oil, asserting my firsts, my first drink, my first kiss, and my first stolen thing. Add the spices of an unconscious ancestral memory that had me undergoing initiations, becoming an outcast, and transforming into someone else who dreamt rich, elaborate dreams that unveiled my secret fears of fear itself and of stagnation. Add the struggles and hardships. I had difficulty accepting myself for being a square peg in a round hole, so I became a nonconformist, protesting the Vietnam War, wearing appleseed beads and dyeing my hair crazy colours. I was unfortunate enough to have several sudden deaths from a young age. My father when I was 15, and then a best friend when I was 20. I learned quickly that death is part of life, and sad as it was. Saw death as a great unifier, because everyone on the planet experienced it, and while it cracked my heart wide open, I wore the battle scars like a warrior, and learned the intangible gains of resilience, strength, and courage. Pour the batter into unconscious roles I always felt a failure at. Woman, wife, mother, teacher, carer. I wasn't womanly enough, devoted enough, doting enough, smart enough, or just enough. and I beat myself up for not keeping up with the roles that never authentically represented who I actually was anyway. I felt like one of Shakespeare's players, a player playing many parts. The hangover from my strict Catholic upbringing meant I assigned the stern father role to my higher power. I became a scared child again, trembling with fear, and when that didn't work, I rejected the roles by divorce, finding a spiritual path that wasn't a religion, and quitting my job. Bake until older and wiser. I discovered that my roles weren't fixed, but fluid, and by bringing my humanity to the forefront, I was able to unpack my identity buried beneath redundant roles and shed light on being a minor character in my own drama. The roles shifted and changed, and as I aged, I felt a sense of peace about all of it. Working if and when I felt like it, trying out new hobbies and opportunities, enjoying my grandchildren, and understanding at last what's important in life and sharing this knowledge with others. And of course, and most importantly, eating cake. Cool on a rack and enjoy. The end.